Good afternoon and welcome to Christmas Stories. We've been lucky that we've been able to have so many fun story times to share with each other recently. I hope you were able to listen to our story time on Hanukkah last week and to see our interview with Santa. But I thought it would be fun if we just had a few stories to share that when you have a chance to listen over the Christmas holiday, it'll just be a little extra bonus. So at Christmas time, we celebrate the birth of Jesus, and I'm sure that you know the story. It's a beautiful story, and if your parents and grandparents and everyone at your church can tell it so much better than I can. But I am going to share one book with you today that is so very unique. It is called The Friendly Beasts, and it is a song that has been around for a while. And so I'm actually going to sing to you. This is The Friendly Beasts, a Christmas carol that's illustrated by Sharon McGinley, and we'd like to thank Green Willow Books for allowing us to use this today. I love the pictures in this book. They're so colorful. Jesus, our brother, kind and good, was humbly born in a stable rude, and the friendly beasts around him stood. Jesus, our brother, kind and good. I said the donkey all shaggy and brown, I carried his mother up hill and down, I carried her safely to Bethlehem town. I said the donkey all shaggy and brown. I said the goat all white and red, I gave him my manger for his bed, I gave him my hay to pillow his head. I said the cow all white and red. I said the sheep with a curly horn, I gave him my wool for a blanket warm. He wore my coat on Christmas morn. I said the sheep with a curly horn. I said the camel all yellow and black, over the desert upon my back, I brought him gifts in the wise men's pack. I said the camel all yellow and black. I said the dove from the rafters high, I cooed him to sleep so he would not cry. We cooed him to sleep, my maid and I. I said the dove from the rafters high. Thus every beast by some good spell in the stable dark was glad to tell of the gifts they gave Emmanuel, the gifts they gave Emmanuel. This was one of my favorite songs when I was little, and I think it's so beautiful. And if you would like to check the book out, it has the music in the back if you have a guitar or a piano or something you like to play on. And it tells a little bit about the history of the friendly beasts. Oftentimes it is given the information that it was a French carol that was made into a more modern song, but that's not correct. And if you want to know more, come and check the book out and find out for yourself how old it really is. That's a really unique book though, isn't it? I had so much fun when I was looking through our Christmas books deciding what to read. And if you were able to see the Santa interview this past week, this one will be perfect. This is Little Santa by John Agee. Oh, thank you, Dial Books, for allowing us to use this. In the North Pole, in a little cabin, lived Mr. and Mrs. Claus and their 7 children, Larry, Mary, Willie, Millie, Joey, Zoe, and Santa. That's quite a family, isn't it? Life was tough in the North Pole, and every day there was more wood to be chopped, more snow to be shoveled, another fish to be caught, a quiet time to be mended, a quilt that had to be mended, a fire to be stoked. The Clauses were miserable. Would you be miserable where there was snow all the time? All except for Santa. He loved the North Pole. He loved making snow angels and snowmen, decorating pine trees, and baking gingerbread cookies in the shapes of people. And most of all, he loved sliding down the chimney. Woo! So when the Clauses decided to move to Florida, Santa was very sad. Won't you miss the pine trees and the icicles and the miles and miles of snow? No, Santa, they said, we really won't. And that night, as everyone packed, there was a terrible blizzard. Unfortunately, it was sort of like our friends in the north have had this week. The next morning, the house was buried under a mountain of snowdrift, and the Clauses were trapped. Oh, what are we gonna do? Said Mrs. Claus. I know, said Santa. I can shimmy up the chimney. Goodness, look at all that snow that piled in when they opened the door. So Mr. and Mrs. Claus gave Santa some food and some snowshoes, and they sent him out to get help. After a long walk, he came on a little branch. Oh, he said, you must be the top of a tall tree. No, said a voice. I'm a very cold reindeer. Oh dear. Santa dug the reindeer out of the snow. Gosh, said the reindeer, what are you doing here? Santa told the reindeer about his family. Hop on my back, said the reindeer. We'll go look for help. Gee whiz, said Santa. You're a pretty special reindeer, aren't you? There we go, a special friend who has a very special talent. On a tall bluff, they saw a house. There was a light on inside. Let's stop here, said Santa. And the reindeer landed, and Santa slid down the chimney. Ooh! Oh my goodness, look what he found. The house was full of little elves. Holy snowflake, said the oldest elf. Who are you? Santa introduced himself and told the elves about his family. We can help, said the elves. We'll make shovels so we can dig them out of the snow. In no time at all, the shovels were made. Now, Santa, said the elves, how will we get back to your house? I've got a flying reindeer, said Santa. Wow, said the elves. And do you have a sleigh too? What's a sleigh? Asked Santa. Well, said the elf, I guess we'll just have to build you one. The next morning, it was finished, and Santa hooked up the reindeer, and everyone climbed aboard. Ready? Said the reindeer. Ready, said Santa, and off they went to look for Santa's house. Far away, the Clauses were waiting for Santa to return. It was almost midnight when the dog heard a familiar noise coming from the chimney. Could it be? Yep. Woo! Oh, said Santa, I'm home. The Clauses were overjoyed, but there was more noise coming from just outside. Santa opened the door. Wow, look at that. They've tunneled through the snow. Look, everybody, said Santa, these are my new friends. Welcome, said Santa's family. Well, it was a good year in the North Pole, and the Clauses and the elves spent lots of time together, and life wasn't as tough as it had been before. Oh, look at that. They've got all kinds of fun things to do, don't they? Oh, my page is stuck. But when winter came, Santa's family decided to move to Florida after all. But Santa he stayed behind. And you know the rest of this story. Isn't that wonderful? I thought that was such a clever little story. You never know how someone grows up, and that was very well done, wasn't it? I like that. But we have our Santa, and the animals have theirs. This is The Animal Santa by Jan Brett. And we'd like to thank J.P. Putnam Sons for our use of this book today. It's your first Christmas Eve, little Snow. The animal Santa comes tonight, Big Snowshoe said to his little brother. So they're snowshoe hares, aren't they? Pretty. Who's the animal Santa? Little Snow asked. We don't know who he is, said Big Snow. Did you ever see him? Said Little Snow. No, the forest animals all chimed in. But we find presents from him on Christmas. Look, he's got lots of friends, doesn't he? An Arctic fox, a porcupine, and some squirrels. Crow. Last year, I found a heart-shaped wishing stone on my pillow when I woke up, said Big Snowshoe. I was asleep when I heard ding dong, ding dong. I opened my eyes, and this little bell was right there next to me, said Porcupine. So their gifts are very unique, aren't they? The Raven twins cawed. A puzzle toy was hanging from our tree branch on Christmas morning. And we woke up and found a tasty sack of plum acorns. It was so delicious, said the squirrel cousins. Somebody left me a brush to fluff my beautiful tail, said the Arctic fox proudly. Little Snow hadn't said a word. Wouldn't someone have seen his tracks in the snow? He asked. I mean, I think you're fooling me. No, we're not, Big Snowshoe said. He wasn't sure who the animal Santa might be, but he believed that that he would come Christmas. We think he's a badger, the squirrels chattered. His thick fur coat keeps him warm in the far north. Could be a badger. No, the Raven twins called. No, there's always snow at Christmas time, and if there's a blizzard, it would take a polar bear to find his way. Polar bear, now there's an idea. I'm sure he's a moose, said the porcupine, and he can plow his way through the deep, drifty snow. Definitely have room on his back for things, wouldn't he? He could be a wolf, the Arctic fox said, smiling. There's no animal Santa, Little Snow shouted, and anyone who thinks so is silly. Well, I believe there is, Big Snowshoe told him, but he wished that he had seen the animal Santa so he could be really sure. No, 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 Little Snow thumped his thumper foot so hard that it shattered the ice on the stream. Broken bits slid across in a starburst, making jiggling, jangling noises. What a pretty sound, Big Snowshoe thought as he helped his brother up the bank. It's starting to feel like Christmas. Let's go home and get warm. Oh dear, I think Little Snow needs to get his snowshoe feet warm and dry now that they've been wet, doesn't he? The rabbit family snuggled down for the night. Maybe tonight we'll see the animal Santa, Big Snowshoe whispered. Snore. Little Snow mumbled at him as if he was falling asleep. But Big Snowshoe was wide awake. Then he had an idea. He crept out of bed and went down to the stream. Big Snowshoe picked up lacy pieces of broken ice and carried them home to make ice chimes. He pulled up strands of hedge grass and he tied them to the delicate pieces of ice and hung them on tree branches. There was no wind at the moment, so the icy pieces stayed very still. It was midnight when a silvery note rang through the forest, and then another and another. It was Big Snowshoe's ice chimes. The rabbit family and the other animals woke up and jumped out of bed. Is it the animal Santa, they wondered? They better put on their sweaters. They're going to be cold, aren't they? The animals did not see anyone, or any tracks left in the snow. Then, as if falling from the moon, a bundle of sweet clover landed at their feet. And I don't know about you, but my rabbit loves sweet clover. They need to stick together. The animals looked up as one by one, gift after gift fell from the sky. Where were they from? Who was the animal Santa? A white shape flew silently above them. Little Snow shrugged. It's only a bird, he said. But look what's coming. There's a bundle of feathers and some moss and some acorns and a drum and even a toy bird. As if he had heard, the snowy owl turned back and called out, "Merry Christmas, little friends." Everyone look. Little Snow pointed at the sky. It's our animal Santa. Wow, it's an owl. Isn't that neat? And look, just like Santa, he's got his hat and his pack of wonderful presents for the animals. I bet Little Snow believes now. Little Snow waved at the snowy owl and whispered into the night, "Animal Santa, now that I know that you are truly, truly true, it makes me happy." That's a neat story, isn't it? And it's neat that their animal Santa is an animal himself, isn't it? That's very cool. I have another story I'm going to share with you. I'm always saying, this one is wonderful, and that one is wonderful, and I love this one. But this is truly my favorite children's book that has been written about Christmas. It's called The Night Tree by Eve Bunton. And we'd like to thank Voyager Books through Harcourt Brace and Jovanovich for this. On the night before Christmas, we always go and find our tree. We bundled up so that we're very warm. Nina is already wearing her boots that are too big for her. She has been wearing them all day. Dad set our box in the back of the truck with the rest of his stuff, and the four of us squished into the front of the seat. We drive through the bright Christmas streets to where the dark and the quiet begin. Nina is almost asleep in my mom's lap when we stop. Are we there? I ask, and Dad says yes. And he rolls down the windows so we can smell the tree smell. We scramble out. There are oaks growing here, and alders and maples that are now white in the moonlight. The pines and the spruces and the firs are all still green. This is called Luke's Forest, but Dad says it's not really a forest. It's just a forgotten place where our town ends. Dad goes first on the path between the trees, carrying our box and the big red lantern. Mom and Nina go next, holding hands, and I come last, carrying our blanket. It hasn't snowed yet. It's so cold that my breath hurts. The sky is spattered with stars, and the moon is as big as a basketball, sliding in between the treetops. Dad's lantern sweeps ahead. Look, he whispers. And we stop. A deer is watching us. I see the brightness of its eyes, and then it turns and is gone. Here's our tree, Dad says. It's been our tree forever and ever, and we walk around it and touching it. It's grown since last year, I say. Mom puts her hand on my shoulder and says, so have you. So have I, Nina says. Nina hates to be left out. That's pretty. They have a tree in the middle of the forest. I wonder what they're going to do with it. An owl hoots deep in the darkness. There are secrets all around. Can I put on the popcorn chain? Nina asks. She hops up and down and hops right out of one of her boots. Mom helps her to get it back on. Nina takes one end of the chain and I take the other, and we wind it around our tree. We brought apples and tangerines with strings on them, and we hang them from the branches. It's hard to hang string loops when you have gloves on, but it's way too cold to take them off. So look what they're putting on the tree. Apples and oranges, popcorn balls, and popcorn string. For weeks, we've been making balls of sunflower seeds and pressed millet, popcorn, and honey, and we hang those too. We scattered shelled nuts and breadcrumbs and pieces of apple underneath for the little creatures who can't climb very well. Our tree looks so pretty. Mom says I should spread out the blanket so we can sit and admire our tree. She's brought a thermos of hot chocolate, and I take out my gloves and toast my hands around the warm cup. Dad turns off the lantern, and we stay quiet, hoping some of the little animals will come while we're here, hoping the deer will come back, but she doesn't. It's shy, says Dad. I'm shy too, Nina says. Before we leave, she and I get to choose a Christmas carol to sing. I choose "O Come All Ye Faithful," and Nina chooses "Old MacDonald Had a Farm." That is not a Christmas song, silly, I tell her, but Mom says it's a very fine song. And we sing fast because there are lots and lots of verses, and it's getting colder. After the very last E-I-O, we gather up our things and head for the truck. I look back once. Our tree has folded itself back into the darkness, but I think I can still see it. The stars look caught in its branches, and the moon swings lopsided on top. Nina gets tired, and Dad has to wrap her in the blanket and carry her. And I get to carry her boots. Later, in bed, I think about our tree, and sometime the next day, when the aunts and the uncles and the cousins are at our house, and it's noisy and happy, I let my mind go back to Luke's forest, and I think of the birds having their Christmas dinner, the squirrels and the possums, the raccoons and the skunks. Isn't that wonderful? There might even be a bear, because Dad says that bears don't really sleep all winter, and if one's going to wake up, I bet it would wake up for Christmas. Maybe a fox has come, stepping high on its thin, sharp paws, and they are all there together, singing their own Christmas songs on Christmas Day around our tree. Such a sweet story, isn't it? I like that one very much. Our last story today is a Christmas favorite. It was written in 1823. By Clement Moore, and I bet you know this one well. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads, and Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkle I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke, it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled up the stockings, and then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all, good night." It's been a tradition for many years for me to read the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas as the very last story that we do before we end story time before Christmas. We will not have a new story time this week. I hope you'll enjoy these stories and just have fun with each other this Christmas. And I know it's not the same with everyone wearing masks and families not being able to get together, but someday it will be, and things will be back to normal. But until then, I hope your dreams are full of wonder, and I hope you find the magic of Christmas. And may Jesus' love find you, or if that is not your religion, that maybe you just enjoy the stories that we have together. And as always, have a great day.